All right, we got Toshi on today. My name is Gavin Mehl. We're going to break everything down. He's going to break us down what a digital commodity is. We got this really hot trending topic right now. It's in the Senate. It's the Clarity Act, and they've got the ag write up right now, and they're trying to pass forward this new legislation that defines a digital commodity. And we happen to have a subject matter expert on with us today. He's got really a lot of viral content out there from some of the shows you did with the Pod Ghost podcast. I mean, absolutely mega viral, millions of views right now. So, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm all right, mate. Thanks for having me on your show. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, yeah, so I did read some of you've got all these great Medium articles, and we'll do a follow-up show after this. Everybody can watch a different show and really kind of give the backstory on what happened with Toshi in London and his broken leg and some of the other backstory, inside information that you could hear on another on a show after this. So look for that. But in the meantime, let's get going with the backstory on this thing. I read your articles on the digital commodity, the Howey test, and I want to kind of share some of those. So why don't you get right into it and I'll give you the floor.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep. All right, let's do it. So for newbies who are listening to show and anybody who's trying to, make clear the Clarity Act because they're purposely making it very unclear and undefinitive as to what they think crypto is. Well, it's like this. So there are only four things that circulate within an economy, nothing else. This is why they're saying, we need to bring in a fifth one. No, you don't. There is literally nothing else besides these four things. You have goods that are manufactured, you have services that are provided, you have securities that are issued, secured entitlement. So anything like an inanimate object, such as a ticket, a token, a voucher, a wristband, a gift card, a share certificate, land title deeds. Literally, think of it, they're just simply printed on bits of paper. That's all they are. So they secure your entitlement to something else of value. So, a gift card entitles you to a discount. A wristband entitles you to enter a festival. A ticket entitles you to enter a concert. A token entitles you to enter an arcade. A title deeds secure your entitlement to land or a property. Share certificates secure your entitlement to shares and dividend payments and things like that. So they are certified secured entitlement, which is why they're called securities, because whoever it is that issues that security will back up your claim and secure your claim of entitlement should a dispute or a controversy arise. That's why they call it a security, an inanimate object. Then you've got commodities, and commodities are only ever extracted or grown, and that is it. So there is no human barrier to entry to accessing them. There may be, economic factors and geographical factors, but there's no human barrier to entry to allow you to access them because all you've got to do is extract them or grow them. So when you're looking at what we're using as a medium of exchange within an economy, well, a medium of exchange in an economy, in a common marketplace, has to be something of common value, which means there can't be any central point of control over it. So goods are manufactured by a centralized company, and they obviously have patents over the production of their good. So that's not a common item. So therefore, that can't be used as a common value item in a common marketplace. Services just simply can't be transported. Securities are issued by a higher authority. So therefore, the only thing that has a common value in a common marketplace is a commodity. So let's break down what a commodity is. The word commodity is an amalgamation of three words. It's first of all something that's common, that's then been itemized and then given a unique identity. So it's common, COMMO, commo, then IT, item, and then DITY, which is identity. So water is bottled, oil is barreled, goods are packaged and things like that. And that's how you end up with a commodity. So what happens is when you are using a commodity in a common marketplace as a means of exchange, A medium of exchange is a tool that enables, encourages, and accelerates the facilitation of trade. So when these commodities are being used as a tool, as a medium of exchange, they become economically competitive to one another. So what will happen is over time, these tools of the medium of exchange will outcompete one another until the economy settles on just one. So what happens is when a commodity eventually monopolizes a market due to its ability to be used as a medium of exchange, it becomes a monopoly commodity and then recognized as money. So money takes time to emerge. Whereas a currency is this. So when people start using a security as a medium of exchange in a closed economic area or private community where the issuing authority has the power to back up your claim, it becomes a circulating security. And when you amalgamate those two words together, obviously it's a little bit tricky, but a current flows and circulates. So a circulating security is referred to as currency. So it's the currency that's meant to secure your entitlement to the value of the money. But when you remove money from currency, that's when you end up with securities fraud. And at the moment, we're using promissory notes. So let me tell you something about that. When they're saying, oh, we're in debt. Well, you can't be in debt to someone that didn't have something prior to that didn't have something prior to it being in existence. So when they literally create a promissory note, and remember, the clue is in the name, it's a promissory note. They print this shit from nothing. So when you're looking at your bank account thinking that you've got money in there, you've got no money in there whatsoever. That little ticker that you've got in there tells you how many promissory notes you've got in there. And let me tell you about the number of promissory notes you've got. A promise is not a contract. A promise, therefore, cannot be enforced. A promise, therefore, has no value, which means you can't securitize a promise. So a promissory note in itself is fraud. You can't securitize opportunity. You can't securitize luck. You can't securitize chance. And you can't securitize a promise. It's complete fraud. This is what allows those who print these promissory notes to asset strippers, because we are exchanging our goods and services and our time for something that cost them nothing, that they made up from nothing. And then they're telling us that we're in debt and we owe us a promissory note back that they can print from nothing anyway. This is why it's really important that the world needs to go back to using a proper money. But if you want to know what the most valuable money is going to be, all you need to do is somehow commoditize the most useful resource. And in today's world, the most useful resource is digital data, because we use it for everything. We use it for record keeping. We use it for social media, emails, podcasts, phone calls, video chats, video conferencing, movies. Absolutely everything. So the way you would make a commoditized network is to ensure that that network doesn't have any central point of authority or control. But if it doesn't have any central point of authority or control, how can you access it? Well, the only way you can incentivize someone or something to actually process and upload onto that network is if you provide them with an economic incentive. So in other words, a commoditized network needs to have an asset running on it, like some form of token that is fixed in supply so nobody can inflate it or deflate it, that you purchase, that then allows you to upload content onto the network where you own and control it, because it's not on a centralized server that the cabal control. So you buy Bitcoin with the NFT data in order to make a payment in that, so to incentivize the miners to process your upload onto the network that the token was initially extracted from. It's a beautiful system. Now, the only way you can make a digital network or ensure a digital network is created without any central point of authority are these 5 things. So first of all, the foundation of the network must be distributed worldwide, and each component that economically sustains their ledger that's distributed around the world, they must be economically competitive to one another. Because without competition, you simply get collusion and centralization. So there is no middle ground there. And again, the only consensus mechanism in a digital sense that can create competition is proof of work. That's it. And proof of work is also the only consensus mechanism that can scale. So literally, proof of work is the only foundation that can be classified as a commodity. But then on top of that, not only do you have to have an economically competitive distributed foundation, you have to have a way of linking data together so that it can't be deleted. And blockchain is like an infinite mathematical sum where you just simply keep adding numbers on top of numbers. So each uploaded bit of data is assigned a hash number. And that hash number is linked to the previous bit of data that was uploaded. So you can't change the bit of data that you've uploaded without changing the previous bit of data that the hash number was created from. So therefore, all the data is linked together and it's indexed in blocks of data. And there you have a blockchain. And what makes a transaction unique is the digital signature on it. And now the digital signature not only proves that you sent the transaction and that the individual you're sending it to has received it, what it also does is it moves responsibility and accountability for any nefarious or criminal activity away from the economically competitive distributed foundation and onto the users of the network. Which is why there has to be a chain of digital signatures in order to prove provenance and also effectively behavior. Now, your personal identity is completely firewalled from the blockchain because the only thing you can see on the network is a wallet address. But each transaction has a digital signature on it. So if you can prove via a witness, and again, the witness would be the individual that you're transacting with, that you can trace the chain of signatures that you've sent to them and they've received, and then they've passed on. That's the only way you can actually prove who did what. So it's the users of the network. They end up being accountable and responsible to one another, which effectively creates a private network. So that's pretty much what the network is. It's an economically competitive distributed foundation with a blockchain extending from that with a chain of digital signatures. But the moment you break that chain of signatures, you break accountability and responsibility, meaning someone could do something on the network that nobody else would know about, and therefore they have carte blanche. And that's what obviously BTC and BCH did. So literally the only chain of signatures that's still intact today with the using the number one legacy address is BSV, which proves it's the original Bitcoin protocol. Then you just simply have to have unbounded scale so the limitations and restrictions can't be manufactured and the network not be manipulated. Then the token supply on it has to be fixed so that nobody could fundamentally inflate it or deflate it and therefore change its value. And those things have to be locked forever. And on top of that, that network, the distributed foundation, has to grow over a certain period without any central point of influence, in the same way that the roots on a tree are grown. So first of all, there has to be a common starting point. So a common opportunity for anyone and everyone to start the network, which is why Satoshi Nakamoto released the white paper on the 31st of October 2008 and didn't start it until the 3rd of January 2009. So there's your reasonable amount of time for a common starting point. And then the network has to grow, the economically competitive distributed foundation has to grow without any central point of influence for a period of about 10 years. Which is why the neutral organic growth phase came to an end on the 1st of January 2020. And that's when the banking cabal brought in COVID to lock the economy down because they were that threatened by it. But that's another story. But that's the only way that you can actually commoditize a digital network. And that means that the only digital commodity is the token that's extracted from that network. And the only network that is structured in the way that I've just described there is the original Bitcoin protocol and genuine Bitcoin, which has just simply got the market ticker symbol of BSV now due to social fuckery. So there we go.
Wow. Okay. So one of the big takeaways I think you mentioned was that the most valuable asset, I think you said the most valuable asset was
if you want to know what the most
digital data. What was the
I said it, if you want to know what the most valuable money is going to be,
money? Yeah.
All you need to do is commoditize the most useful resource.
Most valuable money, commoditize the most useful resource.
Yeah, and the most useful resource is absolutely. The whole world runs on digital information these days.
Well, we know that too, because data is the new oil. I mean, that's exactly what they want. And that's exactly what we're not being paid on right now. We give up our data for free and then all the big companies make all the money off of it.
Well, yeah, I mean advertising, but we know that it's now used for surveillance and all that kind of stuff. And the world runs on securities fraud, so they're not really bothered about the value at all because they print that shit from nothing.
Right. So, right now in the bill, they're trying to bring forward and say that, well, there's a lot of confusion with this bill is like, being amended and edited. And so I'm pushing this out there to the Senate Ag Committee to get them some information, to tell them to put the brakes on for now. Let's get some education. Let's get like Brian Doherty in there and do a little education, a master class, watch this video and read these blogs from Toshi about what is a digital commodity? Because right now there's some confusion in the bill about how a meme coin could be a digital commodity.
Yeah, that's a joke. So the main thing you need to remember is that securities are issued, by and created by a central authority, just like meme coins are. Meme coins are absolutely a security. But when the people like Brian Armstrong saying, oh, they don't actually classify as being a security. Well, that's because what you've actually created is securities fraud. So it's the Howey test that tests for a security, which is an investment of money. So investment of money, which means an investment of you've handed over something of value in a common enterprise, which means the offer is open to absolutely everybody. It's not a private. It's not a private offer. It's open to the public, so it's a common enterprise with the expectation of profit, so a return on the investment of money that you've given them, based on the efforts of others. So it's other. So rather than it being unique, it's others plural. So again, it's kind of like it's a common offer open to everybody based on the efforts of a group of group of individuals. So when they're just like, oh well, these coins don't match that. Well, that's because you've not created a security. What you've created is securities fraud. Because think about it: if something is not a good, if it's not manufactured, if it's not a service, if it's not a security, and if it's not a commodity, what else can it be? There's nothing else for it to be other than securities fraud.
And how about this
That's
Toshi
it.
test? How does that work?
Yeah, so the Toshi test is literally the elements that I just went through there with you. So the Toshi test starts from the very beginning. It's like, the questions you need to ask, is there a common starting point? Was there a common opportunity for anyone and everyone to start the network themselves? Was there a common growth, as in neutral organic growth? So the network grew without, the distributed foundation grew without any central point of influence. So yeah, that's there. Then is the foundation economically competitive? Because without competition, you simply get collusion and centralization. Is there common accountability, as in like a chain of digital signatures? Is there unbounded scale? So that limitations and restrictions can't be manufactured. Is there a fixed token supply so that nobody can fundamentally change its value by inflating it or deflating it? And are those things locked so that nobody can change them? They're the questions you need to ask. And if you can tick all of those boxes, then you have a digital commodity. That's it. So being commoditized is about 10 levels deeper than just simply being decentralized, which is what, they always talk about.
So I'm going to really theme this video about why the Senate and Congress should put the brakes on this bill completely at this point and go back to the drawing board, because they've gone way past, making it very confusing now. And it's gone past where it was before.
Well, they just blatantly haven't got a clue. Well, they're either completely incompetent, which I suspect they are, or they're nefarious. And what I suspect is that you've got a bit of both in there. You've got nefarious entities at the top, confusing those underneath who were incompetent. So between the two, they're going to come up with this load of bump.
There are some good people in there, though, so we need to get them this information and say, look, let's put the brakes on, get some education. We're not pointing fingers at but we need to do some education first, and then rewrite this in the future once everybody gets a little more educated on what a digital commodity is by watching this and reading your blog. So, I want to do we'll do another short video after. Let's do another show. I'd like to record something else after this. Everybody can want to watch this, but let me get this out there to the Senate Banking Committee and the Senate ASAP, and click the link below, to learn more about it, and follow Toshi on YouTube, right? What is your YouTube channel?
At BSV Bitcoin.
At BSV Bitcoin. His Medium articles on X as well, which is at Toshi TV, right?
Yep.
At Toshi TV on X. Okay. And yeah, let's do it. Thank you, buddy. I'll stay on. We'll do a little further. Okay. I appreciate it.
All right, mate.
See you at the top. All right. Hit the ones.